YouTube, Awesome Writer here, and let's do a catch-up / check-in review for Gozyuger. We have episodes 10 through 14 to check in with. It's not concise feeling like 10 through 15 would be, but it is 5 episodes, which is a nice chunk. I just wrote down some bullet points that I want to talk about. I'm not going to go over every single individual thing from every episode, so there's going to be some things I forget, and by forget I just mean I didn't write them down because I didn't care to talk about them. And then at the end I'll just kind of talk about my overall thoughts of the state of the show. Just look at the state of it. So, we have the first episode, which was 10, which was overall pretty decent. You know, there was a fun gimmick. I have been getting a little bit tired of the overly silly conflicts with the No.1 monsters. You know, it was really fun and zany with the adventures, but as we've settled into what Gozyuger is, I can't help but be a little bit disappointed by it, which I'll get into at the end. But this was probably my favorite of the ones we've gotten from the episodes that I'm going to be talking about here, because it was this whole meta idea of comparing the Showa and Reiwa eras. Using Kinji for that was perfect since he's like an old man in a young boy's body. It had some funny bits, was clearly meta at the sort of eras of Sentai and Toku, and also generational stuff. Honestly, it was probably the smartest bit they've done overall, and not just my favorite of these episodes now that I think about it, but overall from the whole series so far. So I thought that was a good bit of fun. Really liked that. We also had them revealing that Tyranno Ranger was alive. I mean, he took him with him, so I guess it's not a reveal. But at the time, I thought he was dead. People were on my case for thinking he was dead in the episode where he got shot and it sprang through his chest. Like, come on, guys. I don't think I've ever seen that before in Sentai where it almost showed a bullet going through, like, more or less. But anyway, he's alive. They put him in this weird brainwashing, like, LaForge gear that he's, like, under their control so they can use Black Daizyujin. Probably one of the coolest things they've done for an anniversary is making the long-made Black Gold Daizyujin, which is a great Black Gold repaint. I'm a sucker for the Black Gold or Black Silver, whatever repaints they do. I make it a point to collect them when I can. And I have like 4 to 5 variants of that one. That's one of the most done ones between Sentai and PR and like pop vinyls from Morphicon. But it's so cool to see that actually in live action and not just a dumb CGI creation, but it looked so cool. I hope it comes back. Given the fact that they made the suit or painted the suit, I can't imagine it won't. And in fact, even though this was really cool, they resolved it too quickly. Like, he was rescued and he's like, you guys are Sentai now. I'm like, are they though? Really? Not so much. Like, I think 2 of these things could have been more long running. I think having him under their control with Black Daizyujin could have lasted a couple episodes. Didn't even need to be in a row. Could just be something that reoccurs and they're like, we gotta save him or whatever. Like the Ninja Academy students that just spent like over a year on Lothor's ship. It's fine. Anyway, I thought that could have been milked for more. Not milked in the sense that it's bad, but I'm like, that could have been something cool reoccurring. And then him being a reoccurring character more to help them in their early days of building a team, I think it just was kind of all superficial. So I felt that was a bit rushed, even if that was cool. Also in this episode, it was cool that they used the ninja powers. God, when I say ninja, it's like you're falling down a hill and it's like you're gonna go nin. Anyway, they used the ninja powers to let them use all 5 Tega Robos at the same time. Pretty cool. Now for the next set of episodes, I'm glad that I waited to take notes because I watched the first one, which was 11, and I was about to take notes, and I'm like, let me just take notes on both of them. And I'm glad I did because I was more annoyed at the first episode, but once I realized it was a 2-parter and everything came together, it was better. Because the first one, it's like, we introduced this rando as Gao Red, and I have my thoughts on the Sentai Red heroes and them mostly being randos now. And I'm like, okay, is this dude anyway familiar? Because he doesn't look familiar to me, but maybe he was like someone on Ultraman, like Don Momotaro's was. I don't know. He was in some other Toku show. But it turns out, first thing I saw actually that he was Kiriha, and I'm like, who the hell is that? And Hibiki, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the guy I didn't like. And then I'm like, oh my god, it's Zeronos, who I love. And I didn't recognize him at all. That was an interesting thing. So he is from Toku, just not from Sentai. But at first I thought like, okay, we're just kind of doing this wandering bit. He was involved with animals, like very tangential Gao Ranger references. Like he was a veterinarian or whatever, and he's doing this wandering, playing the ocarina thing, which I think is meant to be a nod to Zanaku. But the whole first episode was this dumb, over-the-top, like, oh, he's making him dance like a dog stuff, and I just couldn't help but get annoyed because I was like, Gozyuger has the potential to be so epic, but it keeps getting interrupted by stupid. But then, thankfully, we get a twist at the end. There's always a twist at the end. Going into the second episode, a Russian nesting doll situation is revealed, where the No.1 has another No.1 inside of them that has his dead fiancé inside of it, which was really cool, and the monster clearly also meant to be an echo of Zanaku. This was so much of a better, like, showcase of this Gao Red character and the tragic story, which is funny because the first episode is all honking in your horns nonsense, and then the second episode is like, his fiancé died right before she was absorbed, and now she's filled with hatred. I'm like, oh my god. So that was a really cool story. They were a little cheesy with like the song and all that. I just thought it was cool. I really did like that. The second part was so much better and made me like that overall story so much more. Also, superficially, kind of like when we saw the Hurricane Ranger suits in HD for the Returns movie, Gao Red's suit looks so good in HD, and we actually got the physical suit for Gao King, which also looks so cool. Like, obviously we've seen Gao King many times in live action if you've watched Gal Ranger or Wild Force, but seeing them in HD is just something else. And also I just couldn't help but think, you should have waited 1 year. Like, they had the perfect excuse to show off these robots in this series to sell the Dumb Rebel Universe storyline, and they didn't need to shoehorn them into Boom Boonger. Like, they were so close, just hold it in. The next set of episodes was also a two-parter, which oddly enough, I actually liked this story more for the Red of the Week, even though conceptually I thought the Gal Red story was cooler. But I was more invested in this one because even though I liked the Gal Red stuff, I couldn't have cared less about those two characters because even though it was a Legend Red character, they're still a filler character of the week and brings back those vibes of 90s Sentai where we're following a character that has nothing to do with our cast. Like, I don't care about you, you're nobody. But this one actually tied into Ryugi's backstory, and it's been too long. Like, I still feel like we fully haven't gotten Blue's story, too. We've gotten bits and pieces, but we focused on Red a lot, obviously, when we introduced the Ring Hunter, and then we introduced Green and Black by immediately getting to their backstory. So it was nice to finally get more insight into him. We had his kind of family maid trying to get him back. I thought it was really cool just to see a female variant for Red Racer. It just worked really well. I really liked it. And it was nice to get backstory on him. Basically a bit of that cliche story of like, my parents only saw me as the heir, the Earp heir, an heir to the fortune. And then he found the Tega June book and saw inspiration of freeing us from the fake world and putting us in a world where like everybody's happy. Couldn't help but find this funny watching this episode the week that Wish World happened on Doctor Who. Very similar plots. And also because I was thinking about the idea of, now does he just mean freeing us from the fact that life is miserable, or the fact that this world isn't right? Because that's one of my theories, is that this world is some sort of weird amalgam of like the Sentai worlds being put together after that war, especially when you have characters like Taya running around. I don't know, but I thought it was kind of a nice little motivation. Like just the general thought, whether this is amalgam world, meaning to free us from how awful normal life is, the idea that he wants to have his wish be that all people will have a nice and happy life. And it was nice to dig into that. It was also an interesting idea of having the Sentai ring go berserk. It's a shame the berserk form was nothing more than a discount Negan in a robe, but still kind of a fun idea. It was also kind of nice that during these episodes I felt there was a little bit of dynamic building between the villains. Felt kind of weird how sidelined Ring Hunter was. I guess they're going to want to save him more for Goju Red stories, but it felt weird that we just introduced him and then he kind of was just in the background for most of this. But it seems like we're getting some more of him next week. So overall, I'm still enjoying the show okay. I think I'm enjoying it a little less. I think the action's still been pretty good. Some of the way they play with the anniversary stuff is pretty good. The story with Gal Red was neat. Getting Ryugi's backstory was nice. There's some cool stuff on the horizon with Polar, obviously. But I just can't help but feel that Gozyuger has the pieces to be so epic, and I feel the silliness is really undercutting it for me the farther we get into it. Like, Zenkaiger was clearly meant to be a more silly series, but when you see Gozyuger, you'd almost assume it's going to be more like Gokaiger. Now, I don't want them to be exactly like Gokaiger, but I mean in terms of tone. And it just has the building blocks in terms of the designs, the concept, to be really epic and engaging, and the silliness and the unevenness just keeps getting in the way for me. Even though I'm still intrigued by a lot and I'm enjoying a lot, it just is wearing on me over time. And it's kind of funny to think, if you were to put Boom Boonger's picture and Gojuger's picture next to me and ask me which one's going to be the dumbest, I would say Boom Boonger. That's going to be a parody series. It's funny to me that Boom Boonger oftentimes felt more mature, but we'll see how things unfold, especially as we get our 6th Ranger. But what have you guys been thinking of Gojuger as we've gone along? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications from all my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.